been here for one day?
Walk me through the process of what boot camp was like in getting prepared for Boots.
Yeah, I'll answer first quickly because I had the luxury of my character sort of going into it blindly and failing his way through it, and that's sort of the approach I took. You know, I keep saying this, but like my preparation was watching Golden Girls because Cameron loves Golden Girls. That was what I did. Yeah.
I think we got sent like a 4-page document, and every line was like links to like footage from the military. And, you know, so I love those, like, I'm a visual learner, but I love those like visual cues of watching people drill and then watching them talk about drilling. It's almost like two separate things, like the drill instructor and then the human. And I think as we got more and more scripts through, I think it sort of, because they're so well written, it just informed you so much of like what to practice. Like if an episode's coming up where you have to like take a gun apart, then so you do extra rehearsals and stuff. And we also had an incredible group of military advisors on the show that if we ever felt a bit like we're not really doing it justice, they were there to make sure that we were doing everything correctly.
Yeah.
They were your drill instructors.
Yeah. Quite literally.
But really sweet and not drilling.
No, the nicest, like warmest, like would give you the biggest bear hugs whenever you saw them.
Yeah.
They're the best. But kind of like what Miles was saying, we had actually like very little lead time for the show. I think that like just me personally, I think about 4 days in between getting cast in it and starting work. So all of the prep and the learning that we were doing was just happening on the fly, which I think helped me and help like the recruits in the show, because all of the things that you see us struggling with and trying to learn and figure out how to do, I was actually struggling. I was not acting. So I think because of that was just real.
Yeah, for sure.
I could see that. Another question for the three of you, because your characters each go on very unique journeys across the season, what was the moment or the scene where something about the character just kind of clicked for you and you're like, okay, I completely understand who at the core this character is?
I think there was one scene. It's not necessarily a big scene, but Sullivan is walking away from being interviewed, investigated for his sexuality, and he's walking, and then the bugle starts playing, and the flag is being raised, and I just had to salute the flag, and it just all in one moment just hit me about how important it is, and how almost without realizing I've immersed myself into the military thing, and it just got me. I remember like a tear fell down. I was like, that wasn't in the script, but it was, yeah, I think that in terms of my character and me as an actor was like a cool moment, pivotal moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that I was lucky in the scene you're talking about happened very early on. It was one of the first things we shot, which was a scene that I had with my father, Harlan, who, was a decorated war hero. And there's a scene that takes place in his office, and telling him about the guidon, and which is the company flag that everyone carries around at boot camp. And I remember standing in that room with the wonderful actor playing my father named Anthony, and like kind of in a similar way, like of you saluting the flag, just staring at this guidon and kind of having the enormity and the reverence hit me all at once.
Yeah. Mine was sort of similar to what Liam's saying. Is like these sort of the scenes that happen before we have our head shaved and we're in boot camp are very informative for me. I think like at the core of the show, it's like there's this friendship between Cameron and Ray. And we got to shoot a lot of those scenes together before we started shooting anything else. And so I think that sort of locked in like this sort of the base of who Cameron is and his relationships. And same with having scenes with Vera Farmiga, who plays my mother. No big deal.
Oh my God.
But it's like seeing the way that seeing her performance and it's just very informative to be like, all right, this is what he's grown up with. and sort of sets you up to go, all right, well, from that, how does that translate to when you're in boot camp?
It's really good. This isn't a question for Max and Miles about Cope and Sullivan, because they're very much like two sides of the same coin. And there's a lot of like the reason why Sullivan rails against Cope so much is he sees something of himself in him. And I would love to hear both of you talk about that dynamic and how it kind of evolves across the season and how by the end they kind of understand each other.
Mm-hmm. I think Sullivan's main goal is to run away from something and hide from something. And the first person he sees when he gets to be a drill instructor is someone that he immediately recognizes is gay. So he makes it his mission to get him to quit. He doesn't want him to go through what he's going through. And if that means being a horrible person in the meantime, so be it. And then there's something he sees, I think it's in the gas mask scene, he sees something in him, a resilience that he didn't expect. So then it becomes this sort of mentorship. Like, if you're going to stay, then I'm going to make you do it, and I'm going to make you into the Marine that I think you should be. But then again, towards the end, it's sort of like, who's the mentor? I think he's lost. Sullivan loses his way, and he does so many things that, because of this big pressure cooker of his life, ends up, really harming Cameron. And I think Cameron doesn't necessarily look to Sullivan anymore as like a hero, and probably more of what he doesn't want to be.
Yeah, that's sort of my interpretation as well, is I think that for Cameron, he looks up to Sullivan and wants to be like him. And over the season sort of realizes that they have more in common than he thought that they did. But then it all comes to a head at the end, where I think Cameron's shown this choice of like, you can choose to hide this part of yourself and end up like Sullivan, or try to find a different route. And it's definitely one of my favorite parts of the show. Filming is just all these scenes with Max, where we had these private moments where we had these really deep scenes that like have so much meaning for both of them, because they're connecting on something deeper than they're connecting with other people on. So yeah, it's a very interesting conundrum, this like self-discovery while also hiding a part of yourself, and sort of having this character who personifies the version that has this part of yourself tampered down.
I can see that. And I'm really curious to know what you hope that audiences take away from this series, because something I was very struck by when watching this is how this is obviously set as like a period piece during the era of the don't ask, don't tell, and like that. But we've kind of circled back to that in a lot of ways here in the States, unfortunately. And I'm curious what you think in this current time period that people will take away from this and hopefully learn something from.
Yeah, I love the relationship between Ray and Cameron, the sort of no matter what, we're friends. And I think that is what I hope people take away from it, is the fact that, that some things don't matter as much as people think it should. The thing that matters is like human connection, and, you can't go through life with just one flavor. You need other flavors. Otherwise you'll just be vanilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope people take that away too. Like, I think the show does a great job of portraying these queer characters and showing them as just human beings who are willing to make this sacrifice on behalf of all of our safety and our freedom. And I think at our core, we're just people. And I think the show does a good job of showing that, like, we're people willing to serve in this institution with these other people who are making the same sacrifice. And when your gender or your sexuality is taken out of the picture, like, we're all just people, and we have the ability to create connections and bonds and brotherhoods. And I hope that's the message people take away from it.
Well, thank you all so much. This was fantastic. And I can't wait for everybody to watch Boots.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.